Hi, Simon. Thank you very much for joining me in this. It's actually our first
Right.
recorded interview for the magazine for Talking Carp, and I can already see that you're bankside somewhere. Are you enjoying this incredibly hot weather? Although it has cooled off a bit now.
Um, from a fishing perspective, it's been pretty slow, but from a comfort factor at the moment, I'm actually sat on the bank and let me just turn it around so you can see. And I have got that big lake in front of me. Sunshine
Wow.
beating down on me at the minute. My legs are nice and brown, nice and sort of warm, and the wind's like cooling me down as well. So yeah, it's lovely, mate. But the only thing is, it does make my face look a bit red at the minute. When I look at this screen, it looks like I've been
Yeah, it
on a
does.
sunbed in Essex
It,
for about a week.
it does look like you've caught a bit of sun there.
Yeah.
So,
I've got a brown face.
So today's just really, I just have a bit of a catch up. And I think the last time we did an interview with the magazine was over 4 years ago, um, and a few sort of facts from that interview we'll pick up on. Um, so in the late 80s, you were a tackle shop assistant. When going on to I think '96 when you won the World Cup with the now famous Mr. Rob Hughes. And if I'm correct in that interview, I'm sure you said that you achieved the Angling Times headline of British beef. Um, I'm not sure if that one still applies. Um, at,
Yeah,
at that
no
time,
comment.
at that time of us meeting on that interview, you'd done 6 different UK 50s. I think you'd done 40s from 4 different Yorkshire waters. I think that's a challenge in itself. And you'd had carp to over £50 from 7 different countries. Um, Biggest was an 80, I think, or just over £80. So, any of those statistics changed since that last meeting?
I don't know, mate. If I'm honest, statistics as I've got older don't mean much to me at all, and I don't even know why I've given those kind of statistics. Probably from an ego point of view, when you're young, oh yeah, I've had 50s from whatever different countries and stuff like that. But as you get older, my fishing it's just become something completely different to me. So I don't honestly don't know what else I've achieved. I think since I last spoke to you 4 years ago, I've definitely had um, a bigger UK PB because I caught butthead about 3 years
That's
ago,
right, yeah.
64. So that's now my biggest UK carp. So I definitely I'd not had a 60 pounder when I last spoke to you. But overseas fishing, it's my biggest one. He's still an 86.5 from Rainbow Lake, which was Eric's Common from Rainbow.
Right, okay. So, and then I suppose to bring it up into the youth era, the modern era, at that point when we spoke, you'd got 13,000 YouTube followers, which has now jumped to 22,000, and 36,000 Instagram followers, which is now at 53. So I guess you could say you're still pretty current and you're still doing something right.
Uh, if you measure it by stuff like that, then yeah. Honestly, I don't really measure it by how many followers you've got because you get all these followers and then they limit how many people will see your stuff unless you abide by their sort of content guidelines. You've got to post every minute and stuff. I don't post enough. I should post a little bit more when I see some of these young guys posting, and it helps their analytics a heck of a lot more than I post. But you know, if you measure stuff by by those kind of things, then yeah, I've certainly done something right over the last few years. I suppose is it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Is your drive? I mean, obviously, you're a full-time angling consultant. Is sort of I think how you describe yourself. You earn a living from actually fishing, as opposed to working for a tackle company in an office or whatever. Um, but is your motivation to just go and fish, or is your motivation to go and fish with a purpose, so i.e. a target in mind, or is it just do you still get excited by just catching carp?
Yeah, I do. That's. I think that's why I've got the job. If I'm honest, Mark, I said this recently to. I think I did a vlog about it recently, saying that if you want to do what I do, which is, you know,
Mm.
I fish a lot. I get paid to go fishing. It's part of my job. But there's a lot more to it than just that. And if you're interested in doing this kind of job, then it ain't for everybody. It really is not for everybody. And they will not give it to anybody either, because they want people that's out there fishing. And it's okay sitting there in an office one day doing your normal job, thinking, God, I'd love to be out there on the bank every single day, and I'd love
Mm.
to be doing what those guys are doing. But unless you've got that absolute passion for fishing, and I mean absolute passion, you're not in it for followers and
Yeah.
analytics and all that kind of stuff. You're in it because you absolutely love it. And I used to do what I'm doing now before the fishing industry or the carp fishing industry was as booming as it is now. You know, I was fortunate that I got into the carp fishing industry when it was about to boom. Do you know what I mean? It was. I've seen it
Yeah.
from pre-boom to how it is booming now. And unless you've got that passion, that absolute passion for carp fishing, you won't want to do this job, because it involves an awful lot of moving, swim, travelling to different venues, baiting up, rowing around lakes. It's a lot of it's blanking. You know, you're blanking all the time. It looks good that
Yeah.
you're catching fish. And people don't see the blanking that you're doing. You know, they probably tune in every couple of weeks and they think that you're catching all the time because you posted 2 pictures in 2 weeks. But you know, you are actually doing a lot of work and graft as well in between, which they don't see.
Y- Yeah, and that's true. It does seem like that. As I say, it always looks like, you're always got fish in the net, or you're always, you've got pictures that, and you're always catching stunning carp and big carp from all sorts of different venues. But the legwork that must go behind that. I mean, just to do what we're doing now, okay, it's an easy one. It's over the phones, but you've still had to take time out from what you're doing, and you're on the bank. So I'm guessing, you're trying to fish and you're trying to do this. And is that kind of a standard daily routine? Do you have to think about the cameras and about the pictures as much as, or maybe even more than the actual fishing?
Oh yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, absolutely. But at the heart of it all is it's a passion for carp fishing. It's an
Hmm.
absolute passion for carp fishing because you know my wife will tell you. I'm fortunate. I'm married. I've got a wife that's tolerant of me being away from home as much as I am. I've got
Yeah.
beautiful kids. I've got step kids. I've got dogs. I've got family. You know, I've got a normal life. I have. I do fish a lot more than the average person. But what I do is I go fishing at the right times of the year, because the longer you've been carp fishing,
Okay.
the more you realise when the best times are to catch carp. You know, and I will go all out at this time of the year, or in the spring especially, and give it 110%. And my wife knows at that time of the year I'm going to be really going for it. But
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
week's time, in a week's time, I'm off on holiday with my missus for a couple of weeks, so I won't be fishing then. I'll still be posting. You won't necessarily be seeing it. And this is the thing with social media: you can tell lies to a certain extent, because people think you're out
Yeah.
fishing,
Yeah.
but you are actually doing something else. You know, and I'd never turn around and say, you know, at the moment we're all on holiday and there's nobody in our house, go and burgle it. Do you know what I mean? So you know, you have to use social media for your own sort of gains and purposes. But you know, I love it, mate. I just love being fishing. That's all I do. I love being out. I love being fishing. And you know, if you've got that passion, then it's not work. None of it's work. I'm filming today. I've been with Avid for 2 days. Well, I've been with Avid for 2 days. They've been on the bank with me. We've been doing a lot of product shots. So
Okay.
all I've been doing is standing by my rods. Even this morning, and it's 27 degrees here, 26 degrees this morning. I was doing photographs in winter thermal suits. So I'm standing there
Right.
in the sunshine, whilst
Yeah.
Adam's taking pictures of me in his thermal suit for about 20 minutes, and I'm sweating my nads
Wow.
off. And so have you finished yet? No, I've just got to do this. I've just got to do that. And I'm like, oh, come on. You know, and
Yeah.
he's trying to make the photos look as wintry as he possibly can. So, you know, there's a lot of
Wow.
things. There's a lot of things that you're doing, and you know, we had some fish yesterday. Today we've had fish. Every time you catch fish, you know, you've got to film it. You've got to make sure there's a
Mm.
camera in a certain place. You've got to make sure that, you know, you're getting the content that you need, which you can use for social media, for vlogging, for product shots, for, you know, whatever. So there's a lot of work that's involved in it.
Yeah.
That's the thing that people don't see. They think you're literally just out there fishing and you've got a cameraman next to you. And 99.9% of the time, I don't have any cameramen with me. I'm on my own. If you see stuff on the Avid channel, that's me
Yeah.
Avid, where they're
Yeah.
filming with me. If you see stuff on the DNA channel, it's when DNA are with me. But if you see stuff on my own channels, it's just me holding the camera up and filming myself, which, believe me, it does take an awful lot of work to do, because I am no whiz kid when it comes to cameras. I'm not a Carl Smith. When you look at Carl Smith's quality of his videos, he's absolutely
Yeah.
amazing, and his brother as well. And they've kind of sort of changed the dynamics that those two guys did for carp angling consultants, because back in the day when I started, it was about writing articles. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you got your typewriter out, you typed it up and sent it off to the magazines. You got a bit of money for it, a bit of exposure and stuff like that. But then when Carl and his brother came in, they walked into rooms when they were at carp fishing shows, and they put cameras all over the place. And the next minute, they've got a vlog out for half an hour, and it was them at a fishing show or something like that. And that's how those guys work. So you kind of seeing young lads like that who have changed the dynamics of how carp fishing consultants work with all of this technology. And I'm 55 now, and Steve Briggs, my old mate, he's 65. He's had to teach
Yeah.
himself how to
Oh,
use.
Briggsy.
He's had to teach himself how to use drones, how to use editing software, how to use a camera and things like that. Because these companies, like Avid, like Nash, and all the other guys, they of course they want people that's out there fishing. Of course they want people that's capable of catching carp, but they want people working for their brands that's willing to put effort in, willing to put work in. You're not
Yeah.
just standing there. You're not just standing there and they're going to film you and all that kind of stuff. They want people that's going to be of benefit to them, financially benefit, and also of benefit content wise and stuff like that.
Uh, yeah, and I also guess that, yeah, you've got to be able to fish a bit as well. You've got to be a decent angler. You're not just, it's great if you know all the technology, but if you can't catch a carp, then you're falling at the first hurdle. But
Yeah.
I just with the setups and with all the filming, when you're doing, like you just saying, you've just been doing some product shots and stuff. Are you always fishing, or do you actually turn up sometimes, set your gear up, get the product shots, and then that's you? You don't even get a rod in the water, sort of thing.
Yeah. So quite often you do that. Avid will turn around, or whoever, and say, right, meet me at whatever lake, and that lake is somewhere I've got no interest in fishing. So I'll actually literally
Mm.
be there, set up, and then as soon as can I go? Yeah, you can go, and then you drive to wherever you want to be fishing wise. And there is a lot of mileage involved in it. There's a lot of wear and tear. Most of the times, my cars last a couple of years, and then they're gone, and I need another car because the amount of miles you put on them, and
Wow.
down a lot of fishing tracks and stuff like that. Because I don't maintain my car. I don't. I'm not one of these carp anglers who's got a fancy motor and won't drive it down a track. I've got a motor that'll go down a track, and I'll leave it down a track, and I don't care if it gets burgled and and robbed and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that's doing the job that I do, and I am very rough and ready, and I'm very raw. I'm very I'm a hardcore carp angler at the end of the day, and unless you're hardcore as a carp angler, if you need a shower every day when you're on the bank, if you need to go to the shops every day like some guys do,
Yeah.
you need to reel in and go and socialise with people. It ain't for you. It ain't the job for you at all. It's a very hardcore job.
Yeah, this that you're doing it's miles, worlds away from team member stuff, isn't it?
Oh,
I
miles
see a lot of
away.
people who are, desperate to be part of a team, want to be part of a team, and it's for whatever reasons. But what somebody on a team does to what you do they're not even comparable, are they?
No, not at all. Teams and things like that are just a way of making people become part of a brand. Be part
Yeah,
of a brand, and it doesn't really matter where you fish. It doesn't matter where you enjoy fishing. There's no obligations or anything like that. And to be honest with you, there's no obligations what I do. From Avid's perspective or DNA, they never tell me go and fish this lake. We want you to do
oh,
this.
okay.
I have certain X amount of days. I can't remember exactly how many I've got in my contracts, which I have to do for Avid. But on the whole, I'm left to do what I want to do and fish the venues that I want to fish, because they recognise that if you want to catch decent carp with credibility, then you have to endure blanks. You can't just be this lad
Yeah,
that's fishing on a commercial lake catching one after another. There's not a great deal of how can we say, as enjoyable as it is, it represents the majority of carp anglers. it doesn't really. If you've been around carp fishing any length of time, people will always turn around and put fish on different scales, and they'll say that fish is a lot more credible than that one, and that venue's a lot more
Oh,
credible than
okay.
the next one. And the more credible the fish, the more credible the venues. Obviously, the more attention it's going to get, and the more eyes that are going to look at it and say, okay,
Yeah.
that's a nice video. And if I do a video on a day ticket lake, let's say, on a commercial lake, which I do have to do a lot for Avid. I don't like doing them. I hate doing them. It's part of my obligations is to go and do 48 hours on wherever, and it's a commercial lake. I'd much rather be somewhere else, fishing
Mm.
somewhere where I'm going to blank and I've got an end goal that when I get it in the net, I feel a little bit more rewarded from it. And,
Yeah.
everybody's got goals and ambitions in fishing. Everybody's got different things that they want to do. But to do the job that I do, you're unlikely to be able to do it if you are just one of these guys that likes fishing day ticket lakes. You've got to be able to endure all kinds of venues and be able to travel to different parts of the world as well.
Yeah. So, does your position within the angling industry then, or and what you do, does that open doors that wouldn't normally be open to even team members or just your average carper? Just because I think a lot of people also have a perspective that you're very lucky because you get to fish here and you get to try and catch that carp, and other people never have that option. Is that kind of a bit of a privilege that comes with it, or is that really a myth? Is it just you go and you fish these places because you're a good angler and people allow you to fish them?
Nah, I don't agree with what some of the stuff there. That just you get out of life what you put in.
Yeah.
25 years ago, Ali Amidi was banging on everybody's door saying, "Let me in, let me in, let me in, let me in." No one went to him and
Mm.
said, you know, we've got this job for you. You're a great bloke. You're a great PR man.
Yeah.
You have to open the doors. You've got to go. All this. It's all right for you. You can get on these top syndicates. All right. I have to. The lake that I'm on now. It's taking me 10 years to get on this lake. 10 years.
Wow.
10 years to get on
Wow.
it. They don't see none of that sort of stuff. Oh, it's all right for you. When I posted that I joined
Yeah.
this lake, when I posted up that I joined this lake, I remember a guy commenting, "There's a waiting list. How come you can jump waiting list?" How can you can post that without even having any thoughts on what you've posted? Because I've waited for my ticket.
Yeah.
I've paid for my ticket. There are privileges, of course, in all industries. Whether you're a car salesman, you get to drive the best cars.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
work in the fishing industry, you get to use some of the great, lovely gear. You get to fish some great venues. But on the whole, Avid asked me to contact these lakes and to contact these waters and get us some filming opportunities to fish there, because one of the things that I've been involved in the industry now for nearly 40 years, and for 24 years I worked for Carp Talk, which was the news desk for carp fishing. and
Absolutely.
and when I worked at Carp Talk for 24 years, I got to know everybody. Literally everybody. If you wanted to send a picture in and you ended up right at the back of the magazine, I got to know you. And I'm not one of
Yeah.
these people that forgets people. I remember everybody. I try and be friends with everybody, and I try and remember everybody, because it's a big family, carp fishing is. And over those 24 years, I've got to know people, and as you get to know people, doors open. You network. The network grows bigger. You can't just get into carp fishing having carp for a year and caught a couple of 40s from a day ticket lake, because a million people have done that. Do you know what I'm saying? A million people have
Yeah.
caught 40s from day ticket lakes. A million people have caught fish from one venue. Yeah, and you've got to be the whole package to a certain extent to do this job. If you look at all of the guys that's in the industry, whether it's a Dave Levery, a Darryl Peck, a Steve Briggs, an Ian Russell, a Terry Earn, all these guys, they've been around a long time. They've been around a
Yeah.
hell of a long time. They've carp fished a hell of a long time. They've
Mm.
they've caught carp from lots of different waters. They've probably been team members. They've been field testers. They've been, young guys starting out in the industry, and they've done their dues. They've learned their trade, and that's how you end up doing it. And eventually, you get to a stage where your shelf life runs out and you're gone. Do you know what I mean? And that's probably going to come to me in the next 10 years when you get towards 65 and stuff like that. You've only got to look at people like Briggsy, who, to me, to you, he's a carping legend, but to some of the guys probably at Nash, he's just an old bloke, and they're going to
Yeah.
probably got less use of him.
I've
Do you know what I'm saying?
I've been fortunate. I've met Steve a couple of times, and I've interviewed him a couple of times as well. We talked about the early days on Cassien because I fished Cassien back in the late '80s. That was at 17 years old, my first ever trip abroad to France was Cassien. I mean, it was just incredible. Um, but all those names you just mentioned, like Daryl Peck and Briggsy and stuff, the one thing, and it comes across from you as well, they've all got a real passion still.
Yeah.
And I think that's driven by more than it just being a job, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people get up and go to work every day and do their job, but are people that enthused? I don't see that in day-to-day life. I think, and like you say, that little sort of little group, really, because there's not that many of you that earn a living from actually fishing, is there?
No, there isn't, and you've hit the nail on the head. And I've said it before. Unless you've got that, why have I got this job? I ain't got this job because I'm a better
Mm.
carp angler than anybody else, or that kind of nonsense, which it just doesn't exist. There is no bloke out there that is a better carp angler than everyone else. He's not like Usain Bolt, who's a better runner than everybody else. You either understand carp fishing or you don't. If
Mm.
you understand carp fishing, then it's time, access to waters. There's a little bit of luck involved in catching what you catch. Obviously there's the knowledge and things like that. So there's so many different things that's involved with it. And how do we even measure who's better than anybody else? You can't measure who's better than anybody else. Is it catching the number of 40s? Is it catching the number of 50s?
Yeah,
You don't know. We've all got different things that we want. You can't measure who's better than anybody else. But what these companies can do is they can measure whether you're going to be of any value to their company. Are you
yeah,
somebody that is only wants to go fishing once every month? Are you somebody that wants to go fishing once every week? Or are you absolutely in love with it where you don't care about anything else other than carp fishing? And,
yeah,
and, and
yeah,
basically, my wife will tell you what I'm like. She can be talking to me and it's going in one ear and out the other. And all I'm doing is thinking about carp fishing because I can't help it. And I know that a lot of the lads that's in the trade are exactly the same. And
yeah,
you ain't born Ronnie O'Sullivan. You can't just pot balls. Ronnie O'Sullivan probably, when he should have been in lessons at school, he was potting balls. And
yeah.
I remember when I was at school, there was a kid in our school. I went to Codsall High School and Codsall Middle School, which is in Wolverhampton. And there was a kid 4 years older than me called Peter Baker, and he ended up playing for the Ryder Cup team. He won the Benson and Edges Classics. He
Wow.
played in the Open. He played in the 90s. He was in the Ryder Cup team, and you can Google him. He was the star of our school. And whilst we was all running around on the fields after school, I've got this memory of him being in the sand pits on the school playing field, just hitting balls non-stop out of the sand. And he would do it every single day, apart from when he
Wow.
was down the driving range or he was down, playing
Yeah,
courses. That's what made him into a professional golfer. So if you want to work in the fishing industry, you've got to make some sort of sacrifices if you want to be one of the paid anglers, so to say. You've got to be, wanting to go fishing. You've got to have that passion above everything else. And it is something that the brands notice. They definitely notice. We know who's out there fishing. We know who's doing stuff. And, it's pretty obvious who the guys that's just like posting the same venues over and over again, the same fish over and over again, and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff. You know the guys with a bit of substance and the ones that are really passionate for it. So they're the ones that get noticed. But if you haven't got that passion, I honestly don't think you're gonna end up being a full-time carp angler, a paid carp angler. It's not going to work for you. You've got to find some other kind of avenue.
yeah. I'd like to say from the guys that I've met who earn the living the same way as you, then that is the one thing that comes across. It's a determination and a drive, not to just catch fish, but to actually be on the bank. To actually be there and do it. The bits that you do for, as you've already said, for Avid and DNA, they're contracted obligations, aren't they? It's part of your job. But just what what have you sort of been up to since the start of the year this year? And have you got have you got anything planned? Do you do sort of campaigns and stuff? Have you even got the time to sort of look at doing a campaign on a lake or targeting a specific fish?
Yeah, still do them. Still do them. In this lake I'm fishing now, there's fishing here that I want to catch, and on the next door lake, I'm a member of that lake as well, and there's fishing there that I'd like to catch. So, I do campaign fishing. If you have a look on my YouTube channel, I've done it, for quite a while now, and
Yeah,
target fishing and stuff like that. But the thing is, with some lakes, you can't go and catch the targets every session. You know, you can't go and get the
Yeah,
targets every season, even, which is why you only get a Terry Earn video once a year, because Terry, the type of fishing that he does and the targets that he's after, you know,
yeah,
he has to endure the blanks, he has to endure the you know, the effort and catching target fish when there's a lot of people on a lake. You know, you compete with other anglers. It ain't easy anymore because fishing is very,
yeah.
very popular. So, you know,
And
sometimes
then
you
on,
get caught once or twice a year, and you're just hoping that your name's on it for that year.
yeah, and I suppose to add to that, then as well, when you do that, because it's your job, do you feel obliged then as well to have to do all the video bit that goes with it to document? I noticed Jacob from Nash has just released a video, and it was a campaign. I think he first saw the water in London in 2018,
Yeah,
and then and so he's had to keep footage of that campaign,
yeah,
you know, since 2018, and then clip it all together when he actually caught the fish that he wanted. And it was a great film, and it's a great thing, but that must be as difficult as prepping for the fishing itself and doing the fishing itself. You know, to to keep this stuff and think, right, I've done that bit for this year, I'll keep it. Hopefully next year I can add to it. Is that kind of, again, is that what you would do?
yeah,
Like you said,
yeah. I
when
have
you're on
done
your
it.
own, you're a
I have
single
done it. Yeah,
cameraman,
yeah,
aren't you?
yeah. I have done it. On this lake this year. I've got a lot of footage I've not shown yet. On the lake next door, I've got a lot of footage that I've not shown yet. You know, there's venues that I've
Right.
fished overseas that I've not got shown the footage, because each time you know, you're filming and stuff like that, you are looking for a place when you're going to use it, and sometimes it might be in the future. And I saw that film that you're on about. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And
Yeah.
some of the best carp fishing films are without a doubt the campaign videos, because you are compiling not just memories from the start of when you walk on that bank, you also compiling footage which you might not catch that target fish till 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line. Imagine the amount of footage you've got to make a good video if you're a really good editor. And Nash have got not just one or two guys working on films doing the edits. They've got a big team of guys. Same as Cook,
Yeah, absolutely.
same as Sticky have. You know, they've got some really good videographers, and these guys, they're worth their weight in gold. You know, and you know, at Avid, we've only got one guy in house who does filming, whereas the anglers that work in the team, you know, we have to take the cameras with us and do our own videos, so they're a little bit more raw. You know, we've got people like Greg Ellis, and our films are a little bit, you know, raw, a bit wobbly, you know, wobbly in places, and the wrong sort of light level balance and things like that. But
Yeah, but I
some,
think that adds to the authenticity, I think, as well. It's
yeah,
not
I
a
think
bad
it does.
thing, you know.
Yeah,
It keeps, I suppose, to coin a phrase, it kind of keeps it real.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
does.
I love some of the stuff Greg did was amazing, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it does keep it real, but the overall productions, when you see some of the stuff that Corda put out there, my God, you know, and they've
Yeah.
got
Oh, yeah.
big teams of guys doing it, you know, and
Yeah.
the footage is outstanding. Some of the monster carp videos have been unbelievable. I love stuff like that. You know, I'm just like everybody else who know work in the trade. I love seeing great videos put together, great films put together about special fish, and Monster Carp, the series, has been, wow, it's set a really high benchmark. It's been absolutely fantastic.
I actually know people that started carp fishing because they watched Monster Carp. I know one young angler in particular. Um, but he watched that, he kind of binged watched it during lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what do you see? Have you seen a big change? I know you said, you know, there's changes to carp fishing and to the carp fishing industry over the years, but do you see that there's been a big change since we got back fishing after lockdown? I'm more thinking in the terms of all these booking apps now, where you've got to, you know, you book a swim in advance, and
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I don't know how you feel, but for me, that just kills watercraft. You know, how can you book a swim 3 months in advance, knowing that that's the one you want to fish? Um, do you see that? Do you think lockdown affected carp fishing in that respect?
Um, I know where you're going with it. I know what you're trying to say. And as somebody that works in the industry, obviously I welcome all newcomers to the industry, because the industry needs people that are fishing, and it needs
Mm,
new guys. It doesn't just need old guys who've been in it for a long time. It needs newcomers, and I think it's great to see people coming into fishing. It's changed over the years. You know, when I was a kid, you learned how to float fish, you learned how to fish for all different species. So
Yeah.
you learned angling etiquette and things like that. Whereas nowadays, you do come straight to carp fishing, and you know it's different. But thanks to a lot of the commercial waters that's out there, those kind of newcomers end up going on those kind of lakes, and I don't really like going on those lakes, so I don't really see a lot of the problems that some people say,
Yeah.
unless I'm doing videos on those lakes through Avid or whatever. But these booking
It's
apps,
fu-
these book,
it's actually funny you've said that, because my uncle used to have. He said exactly the same about golf, and he used to say, "Thank God there was municipal golf courses
yeah,
because it
yeah,
keeps them all off out the private ones."
yeah, yeah,
And it's I do get I kind of get that, and I think like you say, it's it the commercial waters have this, that there is a massive need for them, and I think more so since the lockdown. But do you also feel that the newcomers are like you said, you started out float fishing, I did the same, that the newcomers are just they want a 40 or a 50 pound carp and runs water at the same time? Do you think everyone's trying, is there too much information out there now that makes it you don't
no.
need to learn the craft, or even learn about the sport as such?
I think old blokes who've been in carp fishing a long time like moaning, because you know that obviously
Yeah, I'm one of
and I
them.
include me in this because I moan. My wife
Yeah,
says
I'm
the
me.
same. I moan a lot, and I've come home from fishing and I moan because there's been too many people on the lake, or all this kind of stuff. So I am exactly the type of person I'm talking about now.
Yeah,
But I've been in carp fishing now since 1980. That's when I caught my first carp, and I can remember in 1993. Tim Paisley, or Mary Paisley, who's the wife of Tim Paisley, who used to run
yeah,
Carp World, she rang me up, me and Rob used up, and she said, "Would you like to come on one of our fisherbill trips to France? We are taking a load of different age groups with us. We're taking them over as a great big group booking, and we need somebody to look after the juniors. Would you and Rob being interested in looking after the kids?" And at that particular time, I was working part time in a sports centre with kids, so that's why she sort of asked me, and
okay.
I went on the trip, and we was away for a week, and the kids that I was with was exactly the same as today. I want to catch a 20. I want to catch it when it had a 20. I want a 30. I want a bigger one than that, and that's how young kids are. You know, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
So I don't think we're ever going to get past that particular point, because if you're into fishing, even now, you know, I want a 90, I want an 100 pounder. You know, you want something a little bit bigger, something a little bit more different, a bit more special.
yeah,
And I think if you've got that hunger, then you're a carp angler. You know, you want something a bit different. But to go back to your point before, you've just mentioned that about these booking apps and things like that, and
yes,
have we lost this this watercraft or whatever? Carp fishing, the commercial side of fisheries has definitely changed massively since I was a kid. More than the industry has, and more than anything, to the point now that only the other day I applied for a winter syndicate, or a place on a winter syndicate, and it was just done electronically. And I tried to ring the fishery up, and I just got sent a cut and paste text message back with a long list of rules and a bank account information. All they wanted was my money. Didn't want to
mm,
talk to me. Just give us your money. These are what
well,
you've got to do. And then these particular fisheries that are like that, I do have a bit of an issue with them, because I don't like them. And as soon as I saw all of that, I was like, I ain't joining. I don't
yeah,
care. I don't
yeah,
care if you've got 60 pounders in. I ain't joining. You got to use our bait. Well, that's straight away. You know,
ah,
I ain't. Why have I got to use your bait? That gives me no edge over somebody else. You know,
yeah,
you've all got to pre-book your swims. You've all got to write in the book what carp you've caught from which swim on which date. You've all got to abide by this list of 200 rules. That's not carp fishing. It really
no,
ain't. It's basically joining a fishery where you get a turn to catch fish, the bloke next to you gets a turn, and the other guy gets a turn, and ultimately the bloke who owns the fishery doesn't want any of you to catch his carp anyway, because he's got all these rules in place, you know, and he puts it down. They make up a lot of these rules, which they say that are put in place to. Sorry, I've just done a bleep. They're put in place, they say, to avoid problems between the anglers, but I honestly think some of them are put in place because they just don't want you to catch their fish. They just want your money, and it drives me
Yeah.
insane. But it drives me insane because some lakes have got amazing fishing that are run like that. But I've got to the stage now in my life where I know enough lakes and lake owners, and I'll join the ones that are not like that. I'll join the ones that are completely different. You know, this lake where I'm at now, it's run by a long-time carp angler, Martin Jackson. He's been around carping a long time. He knows what kind of fishery he wants to join. He knows what kind of fishery he wants to create. He wants like-minded anglers on this lake, and
Yeah.
I'm a member of Alan Cooper's waters as well down south. He's got some amazing
Oh, okay.
fisheries, and Alan runs his lakes with minimum amount of rules, and basically just come down here and catch my fish and enjoy it. And I love that kind of fishing, and they're the kind of lakes that I want to be a member of. And I'm a member of lots of different lakes, and most of them are run along those kind of lines rather than this, you know, give us your money and bugger off, you know, kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
attitude, which
Yeah.
I hate. I really do hate, and I've got a gripe with people, the fisheries that are like that. I have.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You know, fair comment. It for me since lockdown, it just seems to have gone absolutely crazy in respect of not just the number of anglers that have either started or come back to carp fishing, but just the way the fisheries have kind of set themselves up on this. Um, uh, I suppose, but it's demand, isn't it? The demand's there, so
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you know, why not?
yeah,
Why not
yeah.
sort of do it?
Yeah, I can
Um,
see why people do it. I mean, it helps a lot of people because there are anglers that's out there that like to fish certain swims on certain lakes, and it gives them the opportunity to book those swims on the days that they're free. So, you know, there's a lot of positive
mm,
to those kind of apps. There's a lot of positive to them in that they also give a lot of information as well that people can log on to them and find out information about new waters. Which at the end of the day, that's how I ended up getting a job in the fishing industry by doing a day ticket series in Carp World, which is a magazine from the 1990s.
yeah, yeah,
Back in those days, me and Rob Hughes used to pick up Carp World as young 20-year-olds, and every single article that was in there was an undisclosed venue, and we had no idea where they were from. We had no idea where any of these fish were from because back in those days, carp fishing was super secretive. You didn't ask questions.
yeah, absolutely.
All you did is just, you know, broadcast your pictures and on I great sort of attitude. But we wanted to create information by doing the day ticket series, and back in those days we got slated for doing it. You know, we got slagged off for doing it. But now we're in a day and age where there is a lot of information that's out there. But you know, these moaners like myself that moan about how a carp fishing is, because there are a vast array of carp fisheries that's out there now, you can still step back in time. You still can go back to fish the 80s and the 90s, where lakes were
Yeah,
kept quiet. As long as you know how to access these venues. If they need a wait, if they need somebody to recommend you into them, then you know it doesn't come quickly. Nothing comes quickly, and I think we are in a day and age where people do want things very very quickly. But unfortunately, in carp fishing, it doesn't always happen like that. It's like catching fish. You know, you got to sit there and wait. And
mm.
you know, some guys that's been
Do
in.
you think social media's influenced that as well? I know I'm sure we talked about this in your last interview with us, but that getting that £50 carp or that £40 carp quickly kind of gets you the views and the likes on on the Instagram and boosts your following. And sometimes I always think some people just seem to be fishing for likes. They're not actually bothered. They're just it's as long as it's a big carp, they're not bothered what it is, as
Yeah,
long as they can get a picture. I mean, I was asked the question that if I could never photograph the fish I caught, would I still fish?
mm.
And for me, the answer is absolutely yes. I mean, not that I catch amazing fish or anything, but would it be the same for you? Would you still do it if you couldn't, or
Oh
or
man,
if the picture was just for you and not publicised?
I have this conversation most weeks with carp anglers who I've never met before. They come up to me and talk to me about my job and things like that and what it involves. And I always turn around and say, look, you only get one life, right? And you've got to enjoy it. And
Mm.
when I was a young kid, all I ever wanted to do was do something I enjoyed in life. I don't like going to work. I don't want to. I've done jobs. I've worked on a farm. I've worked on the road, even the road gang. I've worked at a sports centre. I've worked in tackle shops. I've done the carp talk job and all this kind of stuff. and
Mm.
all the time, all I've ever wanted to do is go fishing. That's all I want to do is go fishing, but it never existed. So I've worked to get to there, and
Yeah.
I don't like, I absolutely hate publicity. Even from when I was a kid, I hate publicity. I hate writing articles. I hate making
Wow.
vlogs. I hate making vlogs. I hate having a picture taken. I hate everything to do with putting my face out there. But I can't do this job unless I do that. And
Yeah.
you can't get paid to just go fishing and give nothing back. So
Mm.
I strike a balance with it because I don't want to work in another industry. I'm no good at anything else. I'm no good at. I'm destined to be in the fishing industry, which is why I'm in it, and which is why I'm in it. I think everybody's got finds their place in life, and for me, it's in the fishing industry. I've tried when I was a kid. All I wanted to do was play sport. It was about professional sports. When I was at school, I wanted to play cricket or be an athlete, or be involved in boxing
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
anything like that. But I wasn't good enough at them. But I found my place in fishing, and this is what I do for a job, and I don't care about the money. I'm not interested in money. Never been interested in money, but I am obviously off slightly interested in it, in getting something back, so I can live
Yeah.
my life. Do you know what I mean? And it's not a it's basically a balance. I don't like publicity. I hate the picture side of things, but I have to do it to get the satisfaction out of my life, which is doing what I do, and that's worth everything to me. So I'll take pictures and stuff. But would I still do it without having to do that? Well, I did do it. I used to do it years ago. You know,
Yeah. I suppose,
for,
yeah. You're right. Yeah.
for
You did,
a
didn't
job.
you?
You know,
Yeah.
you did. When you first started fishing, you did it for that. But it's only
Mm.
this last sort of 15, 20 years when social media's come on the scene that everybody does the social media stuff and sponsors their posts. And you go on Instagram and you see Kate Fisherman or somebody like Julie Carp Angling with a sponsored post, and stuff like that. And all she's doing is holding a carp, and here I am with the latest rod, and everybody's liking it. And gosh, she's quick. You know, we
Yeah.
we all do it, but it's people go fishing for different reasons. But would I still do it without the pictures and stuff? If I lost my job tomorrow, my wife knows I'd still be fishing all the time. Because it's just who I am. It's
Yeah.
part of me.
Yeah. It's
You know.
yeah. Exactly. It's part of your your DNA, so to speak.
Yeah,
It's
our generation. You know this, Mark. Our generation, before all this crap that's out there now, we just went fishing,
yeah.
and it didn't exist. Having been a full-time carp angler or anything, what existed was rolling bait in or riddling the maggots at the back of the tackle shop for 10 quid a day. That was your job. That was the closest you was ever going to
Mm.
get to working in the fishing industry, or selling a little bit of bait and things like that. And it's just how it is today. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm
I mean,
talking about.
when
I'm just waffling here.
I don't think anyone has ever earned the title since of British beef anyway. So it's it maybe you've got Angling Times to thank for your claim to fame.
There's Rob Hughes. That is. It wasn't just me that was British beef. It was Rob Hughes. And if you know Rob Hughes, he's a lawyer, and he likes talking about lawyery type things. So it's probably something to do with him and Kev Green. The late Kev Green was the journalist that wrote that article, and he
Oh,
was like,
okay.
yeah, Kev Green was, what was he? He did something on the Discovery Channel, some fishing show or something like that. Kev did later on, but he started as a journalist at Angling Times, and when we won the World Cup, he didn't even ring me. He just rang Rob, and the whole story was written on whatever Rob said. So, and it was basically, and I've seen articles like this. Honestly, I've seen articles like this. Rob Hughes crowned world champion, and then at the bottom of it says he was partnered by Simon Crowe. That's how Rob is. That's what Rob's like. So,
Brilliant.
that's the old Angling Time story. So I'm sure it's something to do with him and Kev Green, how the country.
Yeah, well, I'll get him on this new format, and we'll ask him.
You'll get a lawyer's version of him, mate.
Absolutely. Look, listen, it's been absolutely brilliant to talk to you. I'm going to let you get back to having a little bit of peace and quiet because I think you've had a pretty hectic day in terms of cameras and talking. And hopefully we can we'll catch up again and get another insight into your enthusiastic, but sometimes I'm guessing quite fraught life of carp angling.
Yeah. Nice one, Mark. Thanks for having me on. I don't even know what we've talked about, but I hope it's of interest to some of the guys that's out there.
Yeah, I'm
It's been
sure it will.
nice chatting, mate.
Yeah, and you, and good luck with the fishing.
Cheers, dude, and same
See
to
you,
you
mate.
guys, and catch up with you again soon, mate.
Cheers, Crowe.
Cheers, pal.